did the 75 soft challenge. Well, my version of 75 soft. And let me tell you, it was not perfect, not by a long shot. And I wanted to share just my results, the challenges that I went through, and everything. So, if you're new here, my name is Monica Denais. I'm a therapist and content creator on YouTube. And for the past 75 days, I have been in this challenge. I learned so much about myself through this process. I started the challenge on September 9 and I ended the challenge on November 23rd. I really wanted to end it right before Thanksgiving, but like a lot of things happened that I wasn't prepared for. Like I was not prepared to have these things happen in my life. So, like I said, I have my own version. This is the original version of the 75 soft. And then here is my version of the 75 soft. I'm going to have my notes right next to me. That way I can really tell you like my thoughts. I took some time to reflect and see what changed, what went well, things like that. And if you're embarking in a challenge like this, I think it'll be helpful to get some of these insights. But so for my version of 75 soft, it looked like maintain a nutrition plan. And for me, that was maintaining a caloric deficit. I did do a caloric deficit of half a pound. So that basically meant being 250 calories below my maintenance calories so that I could potentially lose half a pound each week, right? So that was maintaining a nutritional plan by creating that caloric deficit. And then the next one was move my body every day. So having some type of movement, walking, stretching, workout, strength training, Pilates. I did a lot of different things. So that was move my body every day and then walk at least 7,000 steps daily. I work a pretty sedentary job. As I said, I'm a therapist, so I really don't walk a lot. I have to be very intentional about when I do these walks. And then the next thing was keep my screen time under 5 hours. I think I started off with 7 hours. Like on average, I would spend 7 hours on like my phone, which was not healthy. And I really wanted to challenge myself to get lower than that. So I challenged myself to 5. And that I think for me was such a good way of just starting off, especially if you're struggling with having to be on your phone or feeling, disconnected. It's so easy to just using that as a way to cope. Then I said, drink 3 liters of water every day, read every day, drink socially only, and then journal every day. So that was all of the 75 soft challenge, my version. Like, again, I've added a couple of things, right? It sounds super simple. Like if you just read through them and like, oh yeah, like that's simple. Like you can do that. It was simple, but not easy. Like I think there's just a lot of things, not every day looks the same. And so you're going to be challenged with a lot of curveballs throughout your weeks, especially getting closer to the holidays. So here's what I learned so far. Let's start off with the nutritional plan. So I started strong with meal planning. I usually meal plan on Sundays, and that way I know what meals we're making throughout the week. And we cook once every other day. Like we'll cook a lunch and dinner, and then we'll have leftovers for lunch and dinner. That makes it easier for us. So we're not cooking every day, but we're having something different, and we're not having the same thing every day. Because for me, that would have been just awful. So I made a grocery list, prep meals, and I stuck to the plan. Like it was pretty good until October. So like I said, I started September 9, and then in October, we got the opportunity to look for a house, and it was just the right timing. And so we were looking for a house, and then we started the process of buying the home. So that was crazy. Like October, we were just working through we were having things that we had to sign, walkthroughs that we needed to do for the house. Like it was crazy. So I think sometimes it was hard. Like at the end of the day, you were exhausted because not only did we have to do like our job, like me and my husband, we had work, also having to, sign paperwork or make sure that we have all our documentation for our loan. Like all of that was super stressful, like doing an inspection, like all of these things that come with buying a home. I think it derailed a little bit of the nutritional plan come mid-October, because I can understand that I was probably really stressed. So I could see that some days I would go over that caloric deficit. I was maintaining, but I wasn't sticking to that plan for every week to lose half a pound, right? To like get into that caloric deficit. So that was really tough. And then we closed on October 28th. So closing means everything is good and you're able to move into the house after you close. So we closed on the 28th, I want to say, and then we moved on November 1st. And that whole week, it was so we're moving, we're doing all that. We did get movers, but again, like we're packing, we're doing all these things in October. Again, it was hard to kind of cook and do all these things. So while it wasn't perfect, like there were some weeks where I did amazing and there were some weeks that wasn't perfect. And right there and then I could have said, just stop the challenge. I could have said, like, let's just stop the challenge. Let's just not do it anymore. But that's where I didn't follow the 75 soft rules, where you're supposed to restart the whole thing. And I'm like, I'm not going to do that, because when I know the holidays are starting, and again, it could be a challenge. Like, I get it. But for me, it's my life, it's my rules. So I still wanted to finish it. Like, I wanted to finish the 75 days, but it wasn't going to be perfect. So there were days that I didn't stick to the plan, but I didn't let that stop me. I reminded myself that it's about progress, not perfection. And so I will tell you the results a little bit if you want to know. I know people are interested in, like, did you lose weight, all that stuff. So I'll say that at the end. So I'll share that as well, and like a before and after. But yeah, it was definitely tough. So that same thing is with like movement every day. This was probably my favorite part of the challenge, because I think that because I'm so sedentary, just having intentional movement, whether that was stretching, whether that's doing something, walking around my kitchen island. Like, I did whatever it took to get that movement in. And I loved being able to have the flexibility, like not just say, oh, I'm going to do a strength training workout every single day, because that's just not sustainable for me. Like, I didn't think that was going to be a good way of doing things. So for movement, like I said, I tried everything. I was using an app called Trainwell, where I have basically like a virtual personal trainer, fitness coach, who would personalize my workouts. And I was doing that about 2 to 3 times a week. And that was amazing. Like, again, I was doing really well at the beginning. I think October to the beginning of November, that's when things just kind of got a little bit hectic, but I was always moving. That just didn't change. I can honestly say that for the all 75 days, I was moving my body in some way. I loved using ClassPass to go to workout classes, specifically Pilates. So I would do that. So I would do 2 strength training workouts, 1 Pilates. And then on the days where I wasn't like moving in that way or having like a structured exercise, I was walking and aiming for those 7,000 steps, which was another part of the rules. And those 7,000 steps were definitely difficult. But if I was able to do morning walks in the morning, I saw that was easily obtainable if I was doing a 30-minute walk before my morning. On the days where I was just so tired, I couldn't do the walks. But here's the thing, like at the beginning of November when we moved, we were walking a lot, like moving furniture, doing things like packing and things like that. I actually ended up aiming my 7,000 steps every single day. It was tough some days, because some days I went over my steps. I wouldn't go 10 to 11K steps, and then I was tired the next day. So it was definitely tough, but we were able to do that. I used my Apple Watch to track. I used my under desk treadmill to get those steps in on the days where I was working. So it was really good. And then as far as screen time, this one is the one as well that just wasn't really perfect, especially during the week of move and then the weeks after that. Like, I could see like the last week I was averaging like a 6 hour for that week, so it wasn't back to the 7 hours, but it was definitely 6 hours. And again, it wasn't because I was just like doom scrolling or anything. If anything, I was just searching for things, like Googling things. So again, I don't really count those as like screen time, because they were intentional. It wasn't like I was on Instagram, and I can show you some of my stats for my screen time. So it wasn't like I was on Instagram or scrolling or doom scrolling. There were times on the weekend where I was doom scrolling, but it wasn't to a point, like I would get bored, and that's one of the things that I found, because I would get bored very easily. There wasn't really anything that was enticing me, and especially right now in November, there's just a bunch of people like selling things, or and it just like not things that I want. So I was just being intentional, like looking at Pinterest, things like that that were geared towards my goals for my house. So yeah, the 3 liters of water, drinking 3 liters of water, I was surprised that that came very easily. I think the first couple of weeks was definitely tough because I was like, oh my gosh, there's a lot of water. But after a while, I was using a 40-ounce Stanley cup. And now, literally 2 days ago, I lost it. And I'm so upset because I love having the 40-ounce water because I didn't have to refill it all the time. And I was just able to, as long as I got 3 of those in total, I would get that 3 liters of water. But now, right now, I'm using just a 20-ounce like hydro flask, which I'm still kind of keeping up, and I still want to keep up the water intake. But I do think that this could be a very big challenge for people who don't drink water and who don't exercise. I think it's because I was moving every day, like my body was just craving water. It was just dehydrated, it just needed water. So it was really easy. Now, the reading every day, that was also very easy. It was a habit I've already kind of incorporated in my day. I would tend to read at the end of the night instead of also scrolling. And I was just excited to read my books. I picked books that were really fun, and I will put down below just like what I read, or like a list of things that I've read. But I ended up reading a total of 9 books from September 9 to November 23rd. I read 9 books, which is a really good goal if I had a goal for it, right? Like I just had a list of things that I wanted to read. I wasn't like specifically, I want to read 20 books by this time, no. It was just reading. And I think reading fiction is so fun. I used to be someone who would read a lot of self-improvement, but I was already doing all these things that were taking action towards self-improvement. So I really encourage you, like, self-improvement is great, but you have to apply what you read. And sometimes if we're reading like multiple books of self-improvement and there's just so many messages that are being told to us, like it's harder to kind of focus on the steps that you want to take. So that was really good for me. The next one on the challenge was the drink socially. I'm really proud of how I managed this because we had a lot of things socially in October. So even then when we did drink, I really didn't feel like drinking more than one or two drinks with friends. I was just trying to be intentional. When I moved, I did have 1 glass of wine this past week. So that wasn't social, because social, it's like you're doing it with people, like either whether that's a date night with my partner or whether we're going out with friends, things like that. But if you're just like drinking up by yourself just to unwind, I don't count that. So I did mess that up like this week. But I mean, it's okay. I mean, if I did it 98% of the time, I think I can give myself that win. And then journaling every day, that was so much fun. So what I ended up using was just a regular, just notebook, just like a regular plain notebook. I had stickers, but I took them off because they were annoying me. But yeah, I was just journaling every day, writing, like, look at this. Like, this is for 75 days. I was journaling and it was great. I really encourage that because I feel like, especially with all the stress with the house and everything, I was able to really just write down my thoughts, what I was thinking. And so that was super helpful. So if you've been wanting to do a journaling practice, I really encourage you. I have videos on journals that I recommend and prompts to use for anxiety. So I'll put that all down below. But yeah, it was really nice. Now, all this to say, I think the biggest challenge for me was when November 1st rolled around and we moved here. Like, that was a big change for me. Also, we weren't thinking of purchasing a home during this time. Like, our lease wasn't up until May 2025. So this was just the right opportunity for us. We broke our lease, got into the house, and it just made sense. So it just felt a little chaotic because you're in a new home, you're in a new space. Like, all my workout equipment is boxed up. Like, I tried my best to keep my workout clothes in one space, but like it was just chaotic, right? So like I said, I tried to do movement, tried to work out and all of those things. I would say, like I said, that the majority of it was doing the workouts. But here's some of the things that I've learned, and I think that I want you to take away from this challenge. It is consistency always beats perfection every time. And then adapting to life's curveballs is more important than sticking to rigid rules. It's so important. Now, again, for some people, it's like, well, this is a challenge. That's why you should be rigid rules, but sometimes life happens and it's okay. Don't beat yourself up. You can restart if you want, but that wasn't me. Small wins like hitting my step goal or journaling add up to big changes. Again, I just felt so like emotionally supported by my journal and supported by walking and taking walks when all of this was stressful. I feel like it made for a better experience with the move. The last lesson is that self-compassion makes all the difference. You do not want to bully yourself into success. You don't want to criticize yourself into success. It's not going to help you. If anything, it's maybe going to help you a little bit, but then over time, it's not going to actually give you what you need on the days where you cannot show up. And the whole point is to always show up. Like I said, consistency is better than perfection. Like some days I would have a 45-minute workout programmed for that day, and my body could only do 15 minutes, and that's okay. It's about just always showing up and allowing yourself not to get in that mindset of just giving up, right? I didn't give up on the challenge. I didn't just say, fuck it, like I can't. I just didn't screw it. Like I couldn't do it like 100% perfect. So like, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do this video. Instead, I just like persevered and kept going. So I really encourage you, just keep going and allow yourself the flexibility to have various amounts of versions of like movement for yourself, ways you can challenge yourself. This is about you and your progress. This isn't for likes or anything like that. This is just about challenging yourself to do something. And it's more like a mental challenge to help you just want to improve yourself in a way that feels sustainable for you. You know, it doesn't have to be this like grueling thing, because at the end of the day, like we want like long lasting lifestyle changes, right? So I can definitely feel like a lot of these things are things that I'm going to continue to incorporate in my routine. Now, as far as results, because I know everybody wants results and some of you probably already skipped to this, but I want to encourage you, like, yes, like losing weight can be such a great goal. But at the end of the day, I really think that how you feel is all the difference. Like a lot of us chase weight loss because it is going to make us feel good about ourselves. Like it does, like it does. But I wanted to feel good maintaining all of these habits. So as far as my weight loss results, so I started the challenge between 141 and 142 pounds, and I ended the challenge at 136. So I lost about 5 to 6 pounds in total. And again, I think that was because of some of the days I was not doing the half a pound, or even some days I actually was doing a deficit of a pound, you know. And again, it could just be just the meals I was preparing and things like that. So yeah, I lost about 5 to 6 pounds. I also think what contributed to is even though I was doing just a half a pound deficit, I was moving my body and challenging my body in ways that haven't before. So that was also reducing the amount of calories I was burning. And so I think that's why the 5 to 6 pounds happened, because if anything, I would have probably lost about 3 to 4 pounds, or like 3 pounds if I was only doing the deficit and no movement. But yeah, it was 5 to 6 pounds, which is great. And here I will give you a before and an after. I don't know if you can see the difference, but I definitely feel the difference in my face. Like I feel different in my face, like I feel different in my arms, on my sides, like everything feels a little bit different. I feel like I have more energy for walking. So yeah, it was great. And like I said, even though this was not a weight loss challenge for me, it is nice to continue to see the results as, you know, I see it. But the impact that was the best for me that I take out of this challenge is these lifestyle changes that are going to be forever engraved in my routine. Maybe just not as heavily like strict and rigid, but they are going to be there on the days where I feel like I need to just reset, or the days that I feel like I need more self-improvement in my life. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this. Comment down below if you've tried the 75 soft challenge, or you've tried any challenge in the past. How has that been for you? And maybe you want to start your own version of 75 soft. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will see you in my next video.